Welcome, everybody, to the Mastermind. Today is a special day. It's someone's birthday, and it's Dr. Seuss's birthday. I think it's his 111th birthday. So recently, I did kind of a team trip, and while we were on the trip, I have been waiting forever to share this book I'm going to share with you with my team. And my kids love this book. It's called Oh, the Places You'll Go. And it's actually the last book that Dr. Seuss wrote. So he had experienced a lot of life and he'd learned a lot of things by then. And my kids love it. It's kind of an interesting book because the pictures are a little bizarre. And if you watch this later, you will get to see the pictures. For now, we're just going to hear the words. Or if you have this book, go ahead and open it up and you can look at the pictures with me. But we don't need the pictures. We can just read it and it's still effective. But my kids, I've got 6 kiddos and 5 of them, the 6th is a baby, and he hasn't learned to love this book yet, but he will. But we would read this book and he would they'd just love it. They'd ask for me to read it almost every night for a long time, and we would just read it. And it was pretty amazing to me because the concepts in it are very deep. And I thought, how can a child enjoy this? But they love it. So, but everything good, everything really of value and worth could be taught to a child or an adult, right? The things that really matter, like the basics that are going to pull us through life and pull us through the terrace. So, without further ado, we're going to start reading it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to read to a certain point, and then I'll ask some questions and get some feedback from the people on the Mastermind. And what I think we'll do, the way to make this work the best, because we've really got to keep it on a pace, is our diamonds and platinums that are unmuted, just don't raise your hand, please just speak up. I know that's hard, I'm kind of shy that way, but that's what we're going to have to do. And then at the end, when we have additional time, I'd love for other people on the Mastermind to raise their hand, and we can get some additional comments from you about what you love in the book or what really stood out to you. So we're going to start with page 1, and like I said, online or on the TV station, Rod will be turning the pages. So congratulations, today's your day. You're off to great places. You're off and away. You have brains in your head. You have feet in your shoes. You can steer yourself any direction you choose. You're on your own, and you know what you know, and you are the guy who will decide where to go. You'll look up and down streets, look them over with care. About some you will say, I don't choose to go there. With your head full of brains and your shoes full of feet, you're too smart to go down any not-so-good street. And you may not find any you'll want to go down. In that case, of course, you'll head straight out of town. Okay, so I want to stop right there and get comments. There's a few quotes here that we could talk about. The fact that you won't see any you like and you want to head straight out of town. How does that apply to doTERRA? Come on.
Well,
network marketing.
Am I unmuted?
No, yeah, you're unmuted.
Okay. So obviously the story here is that he's saying you get to choose where you're going to go. You know, you have brains in your head and shoes in your feet, and you don't have to go down any old street, right? So it's like you are the captain of your ship, and if you don't want to go down the streets that are available to you, then you can go right out of town, right, and choose a different path. And obviously, a lot of us have done that.
Yes, exactly. I mean, this network marketing is something that a lot of people aren't comfortable with. I know I wasn't when I started. I just liked the product, and the whole direct sales thing made me super uncomfortable. So, and you'll have people that will actually really make you feel stupid because you've chosen this route, right?
Right.
Not a legitimate source of income, sort of a thing. Okay, we're going to change to the next page. It's opener there in the wide open air. Out there, things can happen and frequently do to people as brainy and footsie as you. And when things start to happen, don't worry, don't stew, just go right along. You'll start happening too. Oh, the places you'll go. So let's talk about what we just read there. How it's more wide open. Rod, do you have any comments? I know you're here. Well, I think when it says, don't worry, don't stew, just go right along, you'll start happening too. I think that, you hear a lot when people are excited about doTERRA, and they'll say things like, there's going to be a right time, and when everything lines up perfectly, that's when I'll start. But I think if I had waited for that perfect time, I would still not have started, literally. Like I would have no time would have ever opened up and been like, oh, all of a sudden I'm not busy. So don't stew too, like you just share with everyone and don't stew about it. Just ask people, just set up classes and do it in the time you can. That's what I think when I think of those pages. How about anybody else?
Jacqueline, I think, I was looking at this and he was talking about being as footsie as you, and in other words, we kind of wander down our path through life, and then he says, when things start to happen, don't worry, don't stew, just go right along. You'll start happening too. It's I remember, like right now we're building a house, which has been a long time in the making, and I remember years ago, I remember saying, gee, I don't know if I'll ever be able to build a house. And I remember somebody telling me, oh, don't worry about it. You will. And as the years passed, it started seeming more and more distant. But we've realized, through our doTERRA journey, that a lot of these things have become possible. And so it's just been a game of patience of when you're pursuing a dream or a cause or a mission in your life, and if you have goals out in front of you, your path will tend to lead there. If you have your sight or your vision fixed on where you want to go, and so it took us many years, but we finally arrived at a space of our vision, which was to be able to build a place that we could stay for quite some time.
Awesome. Another thing, how it says, just go right along. It's actually italicized. You'll start happening too. So that goes to that, people want to be like aromatherapist, or they want to have some kind of special education to feel like they're finally ready to start doTERRA. But if you just do it, you'll start happening too. You'll figure it out. I love that. How they italicized, you'll start happening too. Any other comments about that? Okay, let's go to the next page. It says, so in this page, there's a guy in a hot air balloon, and he's got a smile on his face, and he's soaring, and it says, you'll be on your way up. You'll be seeing great sights. You'll join the high flyers who soar to high heights. You won't lag behind because you'll have the speed. You'll pass the whole gang, and you'll soon take the lead. Wherever you fly, you'll be best of the best. Wherever you go, you will top all the rest. So I think this really refers to those moments in doTERRA when things are just clicking along and you're reaching rank, or you're signing people up, you're excited. Any other comments about this section of it?
I think, immediately after this, it's gonna, take a turn in this book as you start out. But I know a lot of times when we start something out, we have really high expectations, and in some points, it seems those expectations will carry us down the first part of the journey, which is a really good thing. Like when we don't know what we're in for, or if we don't know how hard the climb is, a lot of times we would probably not move forward if we recognized how hard some things are to do. But at the same time, I think the message is great. You do your best, and you have a high expectation, and you have a great dream, and you have a lot of confidence in yourself, and it'll move you forward down the road. And I think that's a really really good thing, is to just take your expectations and your dreams and your hopes and your confidence in what you're doing, and let it start carrying you down the road and on your journey. And I really like here where he says, when he talks about that you'll be the best of the best, and I think I really like that too, because I really like being around people that are the best at what they do, and I have lots of examples about that throughout life, of where people that I've been associated with have a lot of care about what they do. They're so determined to be the best at whatever it is that they do, that those people never lack. They're never out of work. They're never out of opportunities. Everybody wants to be around them. And so when you think about that, I think there's a powerful lesson there, that when you're moving forward as a business leader, to be the best, do what you do the best, have the best calls, do the best trainings, give the best classes. It's not that you have to prepare overly for those things, but if you care about it, and you go and do a class, and you're able to evaluate yourself and say, you know what, I could do it better this way, then you really apply yourself. I remember one of my heroes in this category was Courtney Moses. In the early days, she started out, and every time she gave a presentation, she was always evaluating how the presentation could go better. And then she just kept upping her game until her closing ratio was amazing. And so that's just an example of when you're on your way up, you'll see all these great heights, and you'll be flying high, and that's the way you do it.
Hey, Jacqueline.
Yes.
So read this page again, but then go to the next page, because it I think it, like, I love this book, by the way, and it's full of life principles that are phenomenal. But I mean, read this page over and then go to the next page, because when you read the next page, it is so anyway, just do it, and then we'll have a discussion.
Okay. I actually have pages marked where I want to stop, but I might be stopping a little too frequently. So just give me advice, all you need to. Okay, so you won't lag behind, because you'll have the speed. You'll pass the whole gang, and you'll soon take the lead. Wherever you fly, you'll be the best of the best. Wherever you go, you will topple the rest. Except when you don't, because sometimes you won't. I'm sorry to say so, but sadly it's true. The bang-ups and hang-ups can happen to you. You can get all hung up in a prickly perch, and your gang will fly on. You'll be left in a lurch.
Like that to me is perfect. Like, you walk out of convention and you're like, we're going to kick butt, and everybody, and you're talking to people, and it's all going great, and you're on top of the world until you're not. And then when you're in a funk, and when you, for some reason, you're in a depression, or you're in a lull, and you can't, like, you go to a training and you're all fired up, and then you go home and you're not the best of the best, and you can't pick up the phone. You're riddled with fear. You know what I mean? And it's like this whole book is amazing, because it's saying that, you're going to be just kicking butt until you're not kicking butt. And then what? And I think Dr. Seuss here is just saying, the places you'll go. And when you're on top until you're not. And I'm sorry to say that's going to happen to you.
Right. And I think it's good for people to realize that, that it's okay that you did really well and now you're not doing well. Like, this makes me think of Going Diamond. whoa, we got diamond. And then all of a sudden, boom, the FDA comes in and you see everything else.
Right, exactly.
You know?
Okay, I think another thing
what were you
too.
going to say?
Yeah, I really like this too because I can vividly remember at least 3 times right now that that's happened to me. And I remember, I mean, we've seen a lot, like Seth gave out good examples. And I remember I started off really strong, like, oh, it was easy to get people to my first few classes. But then what happened when I felt like I had no more names list to use, right? And all of a sudden I felt like, holy crap, can this really work? Can I really do something with this? And you really start to question everything you hoped for in the beginning, you know? And so I think it's important to remember that you are going to experience the high of highs and you're going to experience the low of lows. And one thing I was listening to the other day, they talked about, one of the boxers, I'm trying to remember which one it was. It wasn't Muhammad Ali, it was someone else. But he said, you know, as many times as you get punched in the face, he says the only thing that you remember and feel when your hand is raised and you just had the victory, the only thing you feel in that moment is the victory. But the loser feels every single punch all over again. And I think we need to remember that you know, when you will feel the high of the highs and you will feel the low of the lows, but you have to remember how good it felt when you were on that high. You have to remember the good that you're doing and why you're doing it, and that this is a temporary setback. It doesn't mean failure. Failure is quitting and walking away altogether. It just means that you're in a low right now, right? And I think they quit too early because they feel like, well, I've already failed at this. I've already not reached my goal. I've already, you know what I mean, used my name list. We're already pissed off a builder. And so they feel like a failure, but the failure isn't quitting. And so I like that he brings this up because you're going to experience both extremes.
You know, there's another.
Absolutely. I love that.
There's another great example of how to keep yourself reminded of the high points or the good points. And I remember reading this in a business book one time, and it was about Donald Trump. And in this book, he talked about how he keeps a box underneath his desk, and anyone that sends him a card or any sort of positive note or anything like that, he puts in that box. And then if there's ever a low point, he has time, he'll pull those notes out so that he can be reminded of you know, a great thing that happened or somebody that he impacted or things like that. And so I've noticed throughout my doTERRA career that I get a lot of personal notes, and I get cards, and I get emails, and I get text messages where people talk about how my class or my training or my mentoring or something had some sort of really positive life impact on somebody, and a lot of times they'll write those notes, and so I like to keep those handy so that I can be reminded that the work that I do has a very positive impact on people around me, and I can't think of a better reward than knowing that the work you do actually improves or drastically improves a lot of people's lives. And so that's just one little tip that you can do to keep yourself reminded of the great things that you do. Every time you get a positive email, positive text message, positive card, positive comment, make a note of that, and then keep a collection of those things so that you do know that you're worthwhile.
Hey, Rob.
I love
Bring
that.
up a good point.
Here, can I
Sorry.
say something on that?
Yes.
Well, that's like, it's awesome to keep those positive reinforcements in your life for when you get the opposite.
What were you saying, Courtney?
Out back. I was going to say, I think that Rob brings up a good point that we have to make sure that we're equipped, you know, in those low times. And part of that is just committing to yourself that, okay, if I ever feel like I'm in that funk or I need help or I'm not, you know, if you recognize that you're not doing the things you should be doing, like you're all of a sudden not showing up to these calls, you're not showing up to your mentoring calls, you're not having classes, you're canceling classes, you're, not going to events, anything like business trainings. Like when you start to recognize that you're not in that place, like it's really important to make sure you have that backup plan already there. Like don't wait to get to that low place. Like everyone right now needs to make sure, right, who's my reinforcement, right? Who am I going to call or let them know when I'm struggling so that there's someone that's always there to help hold you accountable to keep moving forward. I think it's really easy for us to just go home and go about our life and not talk to people about doTERRA, right? And so I think it's a point that you're always having that accountability with whoever that needs to be in your organization to keep you going when you are feeling frustrated. Because it's really easy to isolate yourself and then it's harder to get back in. So I love some things that Rod said, and I would just put, include a person in there that you can always be talking to and always be held accountable to. So when you are feeling that way, they can help push you forward.
Awesome. Okay, we're going to go on to the next part. So he's just been stuck on his tree, right? And now his balloon popped and he's hanging from a tree for those who can't see it. You'll come down from the lurch with an unpleasant bump, and the chances are then that you'll be in a slump. And when you're in a slump, you're not in for much sun. And slumping yourself is not easily done. You'll come to a place where the streets are not marked. Some windows are lighted, but mostly they're dark. A place you could sprain both your elbow and chin. Do you dare to stay out? Do you dare to go in? How much can you lose? How much can you win? And if you go in, should you turn left or right and 3/4, or maybe not quite? Or go around back and sneak in from behind? Simple as not, I'm afraid you will find for a mind maker upper to make up his mind. You can get so confused that you'll start into race down long wiggled roads at a breaknecking pace and grind on for miles across weirdish wild space, headed, I fear, toward a most useless place, the waiting place. And we're going to talk about that in just a second, but there's a lot of good stuff in here. So I've been reading GoPro, the book, and the author talks about how that a lot of times we'll try to find some new gimmick. He says the amateur in network marketing tries to find some new gimmick or new exciting thing to get people's attention. And although those have their merit at times to a degree, maybe, it really just comes down to talking to people and getting oils on them and doing the same things over and over again. And so when it says, or maybe not quite, or you go around back and sneak in from behind, or, or I'm afraid, he's doing all these different things and you're not quite sure which way to turn. What are some of your thoughts about that? Do you ever see people who are looking for, there's people on here who are going to do this, right? They're going to try to find ways to build a business that actually aren't profitable or worth their time. What are some of the things that they're going to try to do that actually will be wasting their time? Those of us who've made all the mistakes.
Such an unpleasant conversation.
Well, I'll tell you one. I'm going to tell you one. So there was, I could go on and on, but anyway, there was one thing that was really interesting. When we went to Jamaica for the incentive trip, there was a girl there who had reached silver in like 4 months. And she said that right before she was introduced to doTERRA, she launched a start to her business, a different business, not doTERRA related, like put it on the web, like, oh yeah, I'm starting a business, yeah, totally promote it. And then like shortly after, she gets introduced to doTERRA and she realizes, oh my gosh, like this is my business. So what she told us she had to do was she couldn't do any of those other routes to get people to learn about doTERRA. She had to go on an individual basis to each person that she would have mass invited or tried to get involved quickly. And I found that although there can be merit in kind of mass getting the word out, a lot of times we miss conversations that would have actually invited someone into the opportunity or experience, but because we've kind of been so impersonal, it's actually kind of turned them away. So that's something Whereas she had no choice. She would seem totally lame if all of a sudden she launched this other business, doTERRA. So she had to go personally to people and was silver in 4 months as a result of it. Anyway.
So Jacqueline, what would you say is the main point of the last thing you just read? Because I was seeing it as this, you're going along and you don't, and it's difficult to make up your mind. It's like, do you go in? Do you go out? What do you do? Right? I mean, and I think that the point that I got from that section of this book was that we can cripple ourselves with all the options. Where you're paralyzed by the amount of choices that you have, and really the thing, like when he says it's hard for a mind maker upper to make up his mind, and we've said at length many times that going diamond is a choice, and it's this point where a person makes up their mind, and it's not I'm making up my mind today that I'm going to do something today, or this week, or this month. It's not a choice where you say, okay, today I'm choosing doTERRA. It's not a once a day thing. It's a once and for all thing. And when you make up your mind, and you know what I mean? It's like, do I do this? Do I not? Do I turn right? Do I turn left? Or maybe I do this. It's like, it's just make up your mind. One time, make the decision, I am going diamond. And then, whatever else that means. But it's the people who are caught in the middle that are trying to decide every day whether or not they're going to do something that just die. They die from indecision. And
yes, like the whole idea of when a person commits, then providence moves, but until he commits.
Right.
Well, and then it says the next page, it tells you what happens when you're not making it, when the mind maker upper isn't making up their mind. You get so confused, and you'll start into race down long wiggled roads at a breaknecking pace and grind on for miles across weirdish wild space, right? So that's what happens when you can't make up your mind. Grinding on. I mean, all the words that they talk about.
And you feel like you're working. You feel like it, but you're going nowhere. You're going at a breakneck pace to nowhere.
And you're actually going, as it says, toward a most useless place, right?
Yeah. So read that. What's the most useless place?
The waiting place. And after I read the next 2 pages, Courtney, you can make your comment because it will go right along with it, I'm sure. For people just waiting for a train to go, or a bus to come, or a plane to go, or the mail to come, or the rain to go, or the phone to ring, or the snow to snow, or waiting around for a yes or no, or waiting for their hair to grow. Everyone is just waiting for the fish to bite, or waiting for when to fly a kite, or waiting around for Friday night, or waiting perhaps for their Uncle Jake, or a pot to boil, or a better break, or a string of pearls, or a pair of pants, or a wig with curls, or another chance. Everyone is just waiting. Okay, Courtney, your comment.
Yeah, I love this. So I think, it's one thing to say, okay, I'm making this choice to go diamond, right? But the thing is, it's not just a choice to go diamond. It's a choice to every day move your business forward. It's a commitment to yourself that, no matter how many no's I get, I'm going to keep doing this. And no matter how many, business trainings are happening in a month, I'm going to be there. It's like you're committing to everything. It's not, I'm going to go diamond, but I'm going to wait until summer, because right now is just a really complicated, busy time in my life, right? And then I'm going to go. So really, you haven't made that choice, but yet people feel like they have. And what's interesting about this is that what people don't realize is that you're sitting there hoping and waiting for a mega builder to show up in your team and just be like attracted into your life. And why would they be attracted to your life when you're not even doing the things that would attract them, right? But so people wait and they say things like, well, I'm going to give this a few months. And, if I start making money, then I'll know, this really works, right? Or I hear people make comments like, well, I just want, a solid builder on my front line. Okay, well, what are you doing about it? You're sitting here waiting for them to show up. But are you acting like the type of leader that's going to bring in a solid builder to your front line? Are you going to trainings? Are you living the 631? And I feel like so many times people are just waiting for that. They're just sitting here waiting to see if it's truly going to work, and then they're not putting in the effort for it, and so then they're not getting the results that they want. It's like you have to,
and then they're like, oh, yep, I thought it was.
I knew it wasn't going to work, right? Or they wait for a certain time in their life for chaos not to be crazy. If I waited for my life not to be crazy to do doTERRA, I still wouldn't be doing doTERRA.
I said that at the beginning, Courtney.
I've been through a divorce. I've had 3 kids, 3 and under when I started. I've moved 4 times. Like, are you kidding me? Like, it would never happen. and so you just kind of want to shake some people sometimes and be like, there's the right time is now. I don't care what's going on in your life. If you choose to do this, the time is now. And you just have to accept that, as crazy as it is.
Right, and I think, too, that people don't realize that, like, I actually had a conversation with someone just last night. She said, if I could do this full time, and I said, I'm not even doing it full time. I mean, just to be honest with you, I said, you don't have to do, like, I think that's what people are waiting for. They're waiting for the exact right moment, and they're thinking they have to put everything in every minute of their day. Well, that's not balanced lifestyle. I mean, like nobody, even someone who has a career who works full time, shouldn't treat their career that way. There's so many other things that are part of life. So I told her, I said, well, I haven't made that choice. Like, I still homeschool. I still, I just kind of went down. I said, but all you have to do is keep the 631 schedule, and then you'll reach the momentum you need. And so just do that. And you know what? Anyone, no matter how busy they are, could keep that schedule. They can. They can keep the schedule. We're not asking for them. Some people do, like, reach huge ranks quickly. They travel a lot. That's great. And they get the rewards for all their work. But if you can't do that, just at least live the 631 schedule, and you will go places. Not as quickly as people who, do more, but you will reach momentum if you do that. I mean, that's the whole reason why the schedule's there, so people know what they need to do in order to.
And I don't know that I would say that they wouldn't get there as quickly as someone else. I don't know that I would say that, because just because you travel 4 or 5 times a month to a place doesn't mean you're going to get anywhere faster, right? It's the consistency in doing the right activities. And those activities could be local. It doesn't mean you have to travel and get out. Like, it doesn't mean someone's going to get there faster. It's just, are you being consistent in the right activities?
Right. And I think that's a good point, because sometimes, too, like, when people look at me, I think they say, okay, if she can do it, I can do it, because they see that I haven't altered my lifestyle in a dramatic way to do doTERRA. So, and I feel like, that we've accomplished great things. So I think you're right. And it also makes it so you attract, maybe you don't attract, we would love to all attract people who say, I'm going to do this full time and go like crazy. Of course, we'd love one of those. But for the most part, you're not going to be able to attract people like that. Most people just have to do this part-time until they've built the pipeline. And then they get it.
Hey, Jacqueline.
Yes.
Hey, Jacqueline, I want to make a point in regards to this waiting thing, because, in that one page where he says, we get to this waiting place where we're waiting for this and waiting for that. And I want to just make a point that there's a difference between waiting and being patient. And waiting, waiting for the right time to do something is as we've discussed ad nauseum, but it's like, that's not ever going to, if you wait for that, then it's never going to happen. But I'm like I mentioned, I'm here in Australia. There's a guy that I tried to recruit over 5 years ago, and he said no. He didn't want to do it. Right? I mean, he expressed interest, but it wasn't the right time in his life. Right? For whatever reason, he wanted to wait. But what happened was I didn't wait for him. I was patient with him, but I didn't wait around for him to do something. And now, 5 years later, that guy is now committed full time to the business. And it's like, I didn't wait for him, but I was patient with him. Because waiting is I'm going to sit here and wait until you do something. But I'm not waiting. I'm just moving on and being patient with people until they can make up their mind. And you know what I mean? And so I think that's an important process in this too, is waiting and being patient is different.
Hey, Seth, can you guys hear me? Jacqueline, it's Norma.
Yes, I can hear you.
Is it okay? I'm not Diamond. Can I speak?
You can speak. You're not muted. You speak all you want.
Someone unmuted me, so apparently, but I think that Rod is the epitome of patience. And when he nurtured me along, he knew I was going through a struggling time. And one of the things that I remember hearing in his voice was his confidence that he was saving a place for me and that he had it figured out. And I couldn't hear that because I was in so much chaos and trying to create a livelihood. And I was actually kind of watching to see if he was going to fall on his face and have it turn around to be yet one of those other network marketing tragedies. So it was interesting because as we went through this 2-year, no, I'm not going to do it. Then I, finally called him up and actually in the fall, I was actually wanting to do it, but I couldn't. And then in the spring of 2013 was when I told him that, okay, smart boy, you figure this out. I'll sit down and shut up and you tell me what to do, because I knew he had the process down. But even then, after that point, and I went through quitting my job that year and starting to really build in 2014, he continued to keep enrolling me. And so one of the things I was going to comment a few pages back was it's not about your making your mind as much as it is about you enrolling your heart and you knowing that you have to get over yourself, because there's someone out there who doesn't know that there's oils that can work instead of, scary things. And she doesn't want to do it, but the doctors are pressing her that way because she doesn't have another option. And so I was just teaching her about oils and telling her about what she could try and see how her daughter responded to that. And, interestingly enough, she was loving the conversation we're having. We're having a great sort of partnership and building a relationship. And then the funny thing around it was that her sister has been doing doTERRA for about 3 or 4 years and has never shared this with her. And she didn't feel confident about it from her sister. And when she started to enroll with me, her sister basically just said, no, you won't. You can't do that. If you ever want to do this, you have to do it with me. So there's an interesting thing that plays out there that we don't own ourselves and we don't enroll ourselves. So it's interesting. And I'm never going to get in between a family member. I don't want her to join me in place of her sister. But what's interesting is she wasn't getting fed from someone who had access to these oils. And I think that's a shame, because I find people in organizations, employees that start to do doTERRA and they start to share with other employees of theirs, coworkers, and they're like, oh yeah, I've been doing that for years. But no one's telling anybody or helping anybody. And here's why. We're taught in school that we work on our own paper. So we're actually going counterculture. We're actually building relationships, not marketing and selling. We're building community and we're collaborating. We're not individually working on our pages. It's an open book test. And it's amazing what's happening. That's why we're such a force to be reckoned with. It's not about the oils. It's about the community and the counterculture that we're bringing compassion and collaboration and community back into the family. And we're actually restoring the first relationship, which is myself with myself. I may have a great relationship with God, but I'm putting the umbrella over me and letting it bless everybody else, and I'm starving. And this is restoring us back at the center, where we're actually enrolling ourselves to remember that we're priceless, unlimited, and brilliant, and we have no limit except for what our heart can conceive. And we have to get our mind in alignment with our heart. And then once we get enrolled, I remember calling Rod one day and telling him, it doesn't matter to me whether someone says yes or no. I'm not trying to fix anyone anymore. I'm not trying to make this be the big answer. This is an everyday step and process in my life of taking care of myself. And then I let other people learn how to do that and be inspired about the oils. And it's amazing, because when it's lifestyle, I don't even have to add extra time. I just take care of myself and I take care of people that are around me that are interested. I will teach anyone that wants to learn, but I won't try to fix anybody anymore. And it was just amazing, that transition. When that happened, everything shifted at that moment. And it's led us to new places. That's why we moved to Kentucky, because there's a need for leadership here. There's people that are just working and they're dead. And they live for Friday and they hate Monday. And it's just an awesome thing. So it's very, very simple if we enroll our heart and then let our mind come into alignment. Let the flesh be, ridden by the heart first.
I love it. I love it. I love everything you said. I love that. They live for Friday and they hate Monday. It's like, I love doing doTERRA. That's awesome. Okay, I'm going to go on because I want to leave a few minutes for people. Like, that was awesome comment. So I want to make sure everybody in any rank gets to comment near the end. So I'm going to read quite a bit, and I'll go pretty fast. So no, that's not for you. We just done the waiting place. Okay, guys? So no, that's not for you. Somehow you'll escape all that waiting and staying. You'll find the right places where boom bands are playing. With banner flip-flapping, once more you'll ride high. Ready for anything under the sky. Ready because you're that kind of a guy. Oh, the places you'll go. Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
Yep. Okay, good. Oh, the places you'll go, there's fun to be done. There are points to be scored. There are games to be won, and the magical things you can do with that ball will make you the winningest winner of all. Fame! You'll be famous as famous can be, with the whole wide world watching you on Edge Success TV. Just kidding. That doesn't say that, but I'm adding it. Except when they don't, because sometimes they won't. I'm afraid that sometimes you'll play lonely games too. Games you can't win because you'll play against you. All alone, whether you like it or not. Alone will be something you'll be quite a lot. And when you're alone, there's a very good chance you'll meet things that scare you right out of your pants. There are some down the road between hither and yon that can scare you so much you won't want to go on. But on you will go, though the weather be foul. On you will go, though your enemies prowl. On you will go through the aching cracks howl. Onward up many a frightening creek, though your arms may get sore and your sneakers may leak. And on you will hike, and I know you'll hike far and face up to your problems, whatever they are. You'll get mixed up, of course, as you already know. You'll get mixed up with many strange birds as you go. So be sure when you step with care and great tact, and remember that life's a great balancing act. Just never forget to be dexterous and deft, and never mix up your right foot with your left. So we just went through a lot of good stuff there. I can think about 100 comments. Does anybody have something that really stood out to them? Well, I'll say it. Nobody jumped right in. So they talked
Jacqueline,
about playing.
I just tried to jump in.
You.
Can you hear me?
Okay, sorry. Yes.
I was on mute.
Oh.
Sorry. I have to say this though. Sorry. I was on mute and I was trying to get your attention. So the thing that stood out several times, but especially in that little passage right there, that I think most people really struggle with in this whole process is we always seem to know, right? When you're in a sporting event, you're looking across and you know who you're competing against, right? They have a different color jersey. When you're in the workforce, right? You know your boss says this is the job, this is what you have to do. That's kind of who you're competing against, right? Is you recognize this is the job, and I'm trying to work for this promotion. That person is in that place. I'm competing against them. Throughout our life, there's always these things that it's very clear. This is who you're competing against, and the challenge that happens when you get into doTERRA is who you're competing against is you. You're competing against your mind that says, I can't. You're competing against your comparisons against other people that say they're better. You're competing against, like Courtney said, all the things in your life that you look at and say, these are all the reasons I can't do it. And the biggest challenge we have is recognizing when you're in this process, who you're competing against. And the reality is, as it said there earlier on, it said that you have to be ready. And when you're ready, things happen. And so this whole process of just taking action and moving forward, and the first person you ever talk to might not be your presidential diamond leg, right? That person that runs the presidential, it might not be. But as you get better and as you improve yourself, and the biggest winner in this whole process, and it is a process, it's not an arrive and now you're there, it's a process. The biggest winner in the whole process is you and your personal development and what you become along the way. And as you become better, you attract better, and you attract more, and you attract abundance into your life. But you have to recognize that the biggest competition, the biggest thing that stands in your way is you and your own mindset and your own inabilities. And when you can get past that, when you can work on you and you can make yourself what you're proud of, when you can stand in the mirror and say, I'm proud of what I did today. I lived the 631. I did whatever it is, whatever you stated out that you need to do, and you can stand in front of the mirror and you can be proud of what you did and you can be proud of you. Then there's nothing that can stop you. because this game is won one day at a time. This process of success in doTERRA is one day at a time. It's not all of a sudden I'm going to hit diamond, I decide, and now 6 months later all of a sudden it's there. It's the things that happen along the way. It's the daily actions, and this book is perfect in illustrating that. You might make it, you might not. But this is what you have to do, and you have to do it every single day. And if you'll overcome that, and if you'll get real with who you're competing against, if you get real with the fact that you got to wake up every day and you got to work on you. And when you work on you and you become attractive to other people, you will attract all the success you can have in your life. And the moment you stop attracting it, you know what's happened, because you look in the mirror and you realize, I'm not attracting it anymore because I'm not living it. I'm not doing it. I'm not improving myself. Because our business is simply a reflection of what's going on in our own life.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All those things, if you could see the book, you'd see all these weird creatures and all this stuff. And pretty much going along with what David said, it's like all these weird thoughts and doubts and fears that you have that you're coming up against, and you do it anyway. What were you going to say, Seth?
Would you mind rereading that part where he actually says that you're competing against you?
Yes. So he says, I'm afraid that sometimes you'll play lonely games too, games you can't win because you'll play against you.
I'm telling you. I mean, part of me wants to break down crying when I hear that, because I've seen it so many times. I've seen people lose that game, you know? Like, it's awesome when we overcome that. But the tragedy is I've seen so many people lose that game. And it's really sad because they can never, you know, I remember a time in my life where I realized the guy in the mirror was either my worst enemy or my best ally. And there have been times when I've lost that game, and it's a lonely, sad, pitiful game. And when that happens, and then there are times when you, like David just mentioned, when you win and you realize, okay, the whole secret to this whole thing is the 6 inches between my ears. And if I can control that game, then I can win. I can win this. And, I mean, I'm amazed. I mean, for all the diamonds on the call, isn't this the battle of doTERRA? That our job is, once we figure out how to get over our crap in our head, the lonely games that we have to play, the game against ourselves, but then we have to turn around and help countless others overcome the same thing. And it's the same lies. It's the same stupid lies spoken by the same pitiful being, whispering lies into everybody's head that they can't, they're not worthy, they're not this, they're not that. And unfortunately, we can be there, we can encourage, we can be a voice of reason and hope, but in the end, it's their game to play, and we can't play it for them. And when you see someone choose out and actually quit the game with themselves, it is devastating. Just as exhilarating as it is when I see someone win the game.
Yeah. Wow. That is, I tell you, it is sad because I wonder, have I won the game yet? Because like it shows you in this, sometimes you're up and sometimes you're down, and sometimes you feel like you've won the game against you, and then all of a sudden you haven't. You're playing that same game again.
Hey, Jacqueline.
And
on
yeah.
On that point, I think the reality is that there isn't an end game. It's not an arrival at a stationary place or a glorious happy ending or anything like that. What it is a gradual
new level, new devil.
Yeah, it's a gradual progression of becoming more and more confident in yourself. And the winner, so Jacqueline, for example, you are right now a great and powerful leader. You have crested yourself. You've walked into that space. But what you'll be tomorrow and next month and next quarter and next year is going to blow you away. And the most awesome thing about this whole journey is what you become, and recognizing that you're standing in a place that you never believed that you could personally stand in. And I even look at my own life and I think about where we are, and I think about how amazing that space is, how many team members there are, and how many people's lives have been changed, and how many people are growing and advancing rank. And I look at all those awesome things, and I recognize that next year we won't even recognize this space that we're in right now, because of how incredible everything has grown to a new space just by sheerly staying the course. And a lot of times when I go around, I try to help people understand that staying the course is the most awesome thing you will ever do for yourself, because no process like this process can create you into what you could possibly be. And ultimately, it doesn't matter if you rise to the heights of another person. It only matters that you rose to a new height yourself. And the whole journey was worthwhile at that moment, because you became something that you didn't know you could become.
Awesome. So I'm going to read the last 2 pages, and then I want to open it up to anyone else who hasn't had a chance to speak. Because you've been muted, you can raise your hand, *5*. So it says, and you will succeed. Yes, you will indeed. 98 3/4% guaranteed. Kid, you'll move mountains. And if you see this picture, there's actually a mountain, and he has put all these wheels underneath it and is pulling it. So be your name Bucksbaum or Bixby or Bray or Mordecai Alley Van Allen O'Shea. You're off to great places. Today's your day. Your mountain is waiting. So get on your way. Okay, so all of you have been dying to make some comments. *5*. And we'd love to hear from you. So, Rod, is anybody raising their hand?
Yeah, we
I'm sure we could all keep on going around there.
We got a hand raised. 518 area code, phone number 1651.
That's me.
What's your name?
I'm Janine. I live in upstate New York, and it's been really remarkable over the past month or more to have these mastermind calls done exactly for me. I'm really grateful for that. It seems to be, you guys are so thoughtful to put on these calls just for me. I know that's not the case, but I love the journey that we all go through, and this process of discovery and the space, the battle between your ears. Over the past few weeks, that has really been a battle, and having the mentors that I have who have encouraged me to dig into books and to face my fears and to continue to move and to make progress, to not give up on the goals and the dream, and then to be able to tune into you guys and hear you address exactly what's in my heart. It's such an answer to prayer. It's so inspiring to know that you're on the right course and that there's people like all of us here on the call to uplift and inspire each other, and that it's the right course to continue to give and to lift and love the people that we get to share these oils with.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Good luck in New York, by the way. That's awesome.
Thanks.
Do you have any other comments, Rod?
Let's see. We'll scan here. Press *5*. And we would love to hear from you. Yes, we got a couple more. Alonto, go ahead.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
So this discussion is so amazing because I'm coming to really realize what this whole battle is all about, and I love how it all falls in with the entire mission of what the Edge team is all about, and that's the whole idea of lifting and liberating. So the idea of freedom. And the battle that we're going against, or the competition that we're going against, is really this mindset of slavery, right? And I'm reminded with a quote Harriet Tubman, right? She's an amazing freedom fighter, was able to free thousands of slaves in her work. And the amazing thing that she was quoted on was this whole idea of, when she was asked all these things, what could you say? And she was like, you know what? I could have freed thousands more if only they knew they were slaves. So the whole idea of this financial freedom that we're all trying to attain, and this really, to me, it's like the American dream, right? This whole idea of entrepreneurship, being your own boss, being able to create value in whatever that you do, is going against the paradigm that's been developed for the past 100 years of, this is what you're supposed to do, you're supposed to have a job, and you're supposed to stay quiet, you're not supposed to challenge anything, and do that. So that's the battle that we're in. And if someone doesn't realize that they're actually in a position of being shackled, or in a cell, or in slavery, then there's no way that you can help them out. There's no way that you could even change their mindset, because it's so ingrained in them that they're not even willing to make that next step. They're not even willing to take action with it.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. I loved it. Hey, Rod, you have one more hand up.
Yeah, there is area code 214.
We are at 12.
214 at 1972.
Hi there.
Hi, what's your
Hi
name?
there. My name is Tammy.
Hi.
I'm from Dallas.
Tammy, all right.
And
Awesome. Welcome.
thank you. I don't remember the woman's name. The whole thing was wonderful. It was such an hour. It was just a blessing. But there was a woman who said if she had waited to become a diamond for life to fall into place, I think she said she went through a divorce and she has 3 children. I just want to thank her from the bottom of my heart. I'm going through so much right now, and I had to put my business on hold. That was just starting to grow. And after I heard her speak, I was like, no, I'm worthy. And I can help and do for so many people, but I could still do for myself. And at 55, I don't have a lot of time left to grow. I mean, I have a lot of time, but I want to start enjoying my life. And just when she said that, I owned it. I just said, I'm doing this for me. And sure enough, a package comes in and things kind of fell into place. So I just wanted to thank you, and I think somebody else did too, for taking time and helping us, even though you don't even know who we are. And we probably won't even meet each other, but I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart that you helped me take my next step towards me and still be able to help other people. But thank you.
Thank you so much for the call, for joining our call, and for being a part of this. I feel so blessed and grateful to be a part of this incredible Edge team and part of an incredible company. My challenge to you would be for every one of you to go out and get this book, and let's start affecting generations. Let's read it to ourselves. Let's read it to our children, our grandchildren, and teach these principles that are absolutely true and that can liberate us, lift and liberate us. So thanks so much. Is there anything else, Beth or Rod, or that you felt like needed to be said before we end the call?
No, I think
you did perfect, Jacqueline. Great job.
It's awesome.
All right. Happy birthday, Dr. Seuss. Have a great rest of your day.
All right. Thanks, Jacqueline.
Thanks, Jacqueline. See you.